we will introduce ourselves. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Suzanne Sorel. I direct the graduate music therapy program at Molloy College, and I'm on the Academic Program Approval Committee. Molloy College, for anybody who doesn't know, is in Rockville Center, Long Island, New York. And Carol and I are on the University Affiliated Internship Subcommittee of the Academic Program Approval Committee. And we're so glad you joined us here today to talk about some new guidelines. Carol, want to introduce yourself?
I do, thank you. So I'm Carol Olszewski. I'm an assistant professor at Cleveland State University. And I am the GLR regional rep to APAC. And like Susie said, we were working through these UA guidelines together and thought the question the whole time was, how do we roll them out? And we thought, you know, everybody Zooms now, we might as well try to do kind of some meetings about it. So we have, what do you have, maybe 7 or 8 slides, if that, to kind of talk through. And then I'm going to stop recording after that portion, and then we'll welcome questions. Questions are welcome throughout, but we'll actually stop recording to then work through any questions or concerns at the end for sure. All right, with no objection, then I will start screen sharing. Is that all right?
Yeah, we don't see the PowerPoint. Now we do. Okay, now it's working. Okay, so so I'll just start off by saying these guidelines were developed as you know, you hear of a consumer protection laws. These are student protection laws. So they were developed because students were put in positions that we didn't feel were providing them with the best training, and in the worst case scenario, they were putting in situations where there wasn't a lot of guidance, supervision, oversight, and conditions may not have been safe. Not the least that they weren't getting the training that they needed to become effective music therapists. So that's where we started. There was a lot of confusion between the national roster internship guidelines and university affiliated internships. And so what happened was people, because there were no guidelines, people just kind of made it up. You know, they just made up their way they wanted to do university affiliated internship guidelines. And out of that, there were some really terrific things happening out there, and students are getting really great experiences, and universities figured out how to do it in which the student was really protected and everything was working well. On the flip side, there were a lot of situations in which universities were just kind of not sure what to do, so didn't really do anything, kind of viewed university affiliated in more of a national roster way. So universities were very hands-off in how they were overseeing, and that's where the problems happened. So since there was no kind of clear idea about how this should all run, and everybody kind of made their own decisions, some people made better decisions and some people made decisions that were not in the best way to take care of their students. So thus the university affiliated internship guidelines were born out of many meetings and workshops, and then needed to go through the assembly and back, and a lot of tweaking happened, right, Carol? And we revised, and we and so now we've come with this, and now we're rolling it out, as Carol said. So we can go to the next slide.
All right, so the way that we've now designed or envisioned, if you will, the UA internship is we're kind of looking at 3 main roles. So 3 parties involved in the process. You have the Academic Internship Supervisor. This person is a person who's at the university, who's monitoring and responsible for what's taking place for the student's training. Okay. The next person involved is the On-Site Supervisor. So that's the UA internship, could be director, could be supervisor, etc. So those roles we kind of leave to the site a little bit, but it's the person who is on site and responsible, again, for the learning of the intern. And then of course, the third person is the intern. Okay, so we'll go through and visit now a little bit about what each of the responsibilities is for each of these people, okay? We have all parties first, my bad. So general responsibilities for all three people involved. Everyone must adhere to the standards of clinical practice. All parties must adhere to the code of ethics. Nothing surprising with that. Oh goodness, sorry. All right, Susie.
Okay, so the biggest thing that everybody needs to know is that the final decision regarding the viability of a site sits with the university. So the university has to approve any facility or group of facilities or any private practice that provides internship supervision for its music therapy students. The on-site supervisor has to fulfill the supervisor requirements as denoted by AMTA. And you'll say they're the same as national roster guidelines in terms of what it takes to be a supervisor. So that's no different. The difference is that a student can't say, hey, I found this great internship, this music therapist in Alaska, and she said she's going to supervise me. Can I do my internship there? And you say, sure, why not? Give it a try. And so you could say that as the university, but there are steps and procedures you have to do in order to make sure that this site is viable before you send intern X out to Alaska. And so we're trying to make sure that internship sites have fulfilled certain kind of criteria in order for them to be considered internship sites. So we are all in favor of developing relationships with new sites and music therapists in your area and even beyond your area. However, we want to make sure that it's not kind of willy-nilly that, well, this site decided that they didn't want to go through the application of the national roster internship, because that's a lot to do. So we'll just call it a UA internship, and you send the person there just as if it were a national roster, but you're not overseeing it. You're not really seeing what's happening with the student. You're pretending it's a national roster, but actually it's a university affiliated because it didn't go through the national roster process. So what we're trying to do is make sure that both national roster, but our charge is university affiliated, that the university is in charge and you're overseeing that. I hope that makes sense. So Carol, you want to go on to the next slide? Okay.
All right, so the role of the academic internship supervisor. So recall that's the person at the university, okay? This person is responsible for overseeing all aspects of the process. The university is actually responsible for the legal contract between the university and the site, okay? We are preparing, I'll just take this question now. We're working on having some documentation drawn up that will be accessible to anyone who would like just a model, just an example of what's working and that type of thing. Because sometimes development of those types of things are a little overwhelming, okay? But the idea is that the university initiates the legal affiliation between the two sites, all right? So we provide the forms related to the process. That's agreements, evaluations, the course syllabus. It's really important for your on-site person to understand what other responsibilities the intern has to the university and the course of internship, okay? The academic internship supervisor also oversees the supervision provided by the on-site supervisor. Again, that's just a little bit of an oversight because the person isn't vetted through the national roster, system, that we're just double checking that indeed everything's going okay. All right. There may be opportunities and responsibilities to provide additional external supervision. And it's the university's responsibility to ensure that the site can provide the correct number of internship hours and experiences that that student needs. All records and evaluations are also maintained at the university. I want to go back to like what Susie was saying, that it's about the university vetting the site well enough to know that what the intern needs educationally can take place there. Again, fantastic to meet someone new, someone who really wants to train and mentor students, but if you don't do your homework well, maybe you later find out the person's actually only working about 12 to 15 hours. Your intern didn't realize that because they thought, oh, someone else can cover the music therapy intern for these other 10 hours. And all of a sudden, the intern already moved there. They've started the process. And now we're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? We're not making these situations up either. I know it looks like we're like on the fly. Oh, there's a music therapist in the last. No, these things have happened. That's where these came from. Okay. So we're just trying to save everybody time, effort, and concern later by having these set up early and that everybody's clear. Okay.
And can I just add before we go on, because there's usually a question about external supervision and what that means. And that can mean a lot of different things. So it does mean you want to take a look at what's happening between the supervisor and the supervisee and the intern, and have an understanding about what that supervisory relationship is, and also have a really good idea about those students, the interns' clinical work ongoing. And we really are saying that that's beyond seeing an assessment or an evaluation from the on-site supervisor. There are a lot of ways to do this now, and even on Zoom. You know, I've met with, if I can't be on site during the pandemic, for instance, I would have a meeting between the student and the supervisor. If possible, I may watch a recorded session with the three of us together. So we're a united team, and the supervisor, on-site supervisor, knows that I'm very much a part of this, this scenario here, and that I'm kind of overseeing the process. And that's what the academic internship supervisor is overseeing, not overseeing the day-to-day, that's on the on-site supervisor, but overseeing everything that's going on. And if it's not possible for a session to be recorded, although even at Bellevue, I was able to listen to Bellevue Hospital, which is a psychiatric facility in New York City. I was able to listen to a recorded session, not have anybody identified. So it was even possible for me to do that and provide external supervision by just listening to a session, if not able to actually view a session either in person on site or via recording. So this is tricky, we know, and we know also that it's more time for the university. We know it's more time for the academic supervisor. However, I will tell you, and this is from experience, when there ever is an issue with the on-site supervisor, it's much better if the intern has two people to go to, the on-site supervisor and the university. So if there's a problem, they can come to you, and it's not like you've never heard about it. You just sent them off to Alaska or wherever, and you don't have any relationship with the on-site supervisor. No, you have a relationship with the on-site supervisor. You are working with them, and so you're able to help negotiate either fixing the issue or pull the student if necessary. It would be very hard for the student to leave on their own without your help. And I'm not saying and Carol, you can speak to this too. I'm sure that happens where the university gets involved in a national roster issue problem, but it's less likely because all the responsibility of national roster is on the on-site supervisor, and much less so on the university. Here we feel that this creates a checks and balances system that protects the intern.
Really, we're so sure. We think national roster is going to start wanting to do it like we're doing it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. So just what Susie was saying, why is there so much responsibility on the university? They're university affiliated internships. They're not national rosters. So that's why more sits at the university. Again, I just can't reiterate enough that it's for the safety of the student. We've had too many students kind of fall through the cracks or be in situations, ethical dilemmas with these types of things. And so the whole goal and role of all this is to prevent that. And again, the intern is still a student of the university. So the student is still the responsibility of the academic program. Okay, so that's why the responsibility sits there.
And I'll just mention, because we may have some on-site supervisors with us today. I don't really know if we do. I hope we do. But it's important to know that for you to know what the responsibility of the university is too. So if they're not stepping up, that's a place where APAC could get involved. If you feel you are a university affiliated site, but the university is not, not fulfilling the responsibilities and it's all on you, then that's a problem. So we need to know about that. And we can also, oh, good. Hi, on-site supervisor. So we can help with that, and I'm really glad you're here. Oh, I'm glad all of you are here so that you get to know what the balance of power is really here. And it's shared is what it is. And it should be, universities should be a support to you. Glad you're all here.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. And I should say, a large portion of this, we're kind of joking about the student going off. Many of the issues that have arisen come from the academic supervisor not holding the responsibilities as they should. Sometimes sites are new and they're trying out the idea of mentoring, supervising, etc. That's fair not to go straight and be like, I'm doing a national run. This is a perfect way to be like, do I enjoy this? Can my site manage this? Can I manage this? This isn't paid. We know that. This is huge to say that you'll take interns. And so we've had too many on-site supervisors not being supported. And so we're joking is the other way, but it's probably actually been almost more frequent than the university has not withheld their responsibilities to the on-site supervisors. So with that also, please know it's not, these guidelines are not created to pull power from you or from your site or the parts of the internship you like to manage.
That's right.
That really can be negotiated with the site. Okay, and in that agreement, be like, I actually have my forms. I like to use these. And the university can be like, we love those. Great, let's go with that. It's about that the university has to have them in the case you haven't designed yours yet. Okay, so that's their responsibility. If you do that part, wonderful. You all agree on that together and the system's in place. Ready, set, go.
Right, and communication,
yeah.
So it's about the communication. So if there's, right, and shared documents are totally fine. And if they meet the competencies of what you're trying to fulfill with your syllabus, absolutely. So we're not trying to take anything away from on-site supervisors. In a way, we're trying to support. So you may have been an on-site supervisor for whatever, 20 years, and you do it this way. And now we want, as the university, to understand what you're doing exactly and see if it meets. And maybe we have to compromise a little bit on, could you do a form monthly instead of every 3 months? Could you do this, that? We can talk and we can manage it together. And for the newer supervisors, absolutely, Carol's right. This is a mentorship opportunity. And it's really possible to work in tandem. And if there's a problem, my on-site supervisor calls me up. Yeah, let's talk it out. How can we work together to kind of help this student, navigate this issue? So, so there are lots of possibilities here for good work to be done on both sides. Do you want me to talk about the role of the on-site supervisor, Carol, or do you want to keep going?
Let's have you go, just in case you do leave and they have to.
Yes, I'm double booked today on this very important meeting, but whatever, I'm still here. So the role of the on-site supervisor: to meet or exceed the AMTA standards for education and training. We said that. The on-site supervisors can contact a university seeking an affiliation, right? So if you're interested in becoming university affiliated internship, let's talk. Let's see what's possible. You determine the requirements for the application for the students. So we do not decide who you accept and who you reject. That is completely up to you and what you need and the type of site. And you need a certain intern with this kind of experience or strong on piano skills or this or that or certain personality. We do not determine who you accept. You can accept agreements for up to 1 year in advance. So we know that in certain programs, the planning for internships and accepting interns happens way ahead, or people are on different schedules depending upon how they run their internships. And I won't even go into all the various ways people do things. So there is time. So you will have time if people need to submit their agreements ahead of time. And this is kind of like roster, right, Carol? I think we
absolutely
right, yeah. As I just said, you determine whether the intern is accepted or not. You notify the university about the start date and the target date for receiving the internship agreement. We need to kind of work out the legal affiliation and all other site-specific requirements. So, and that could be immunization, drug screening, child abuse, whatever protection things that have fingerprinting that might have to be done. So that's all. You let us know and let the intern know when all of that has to be done. And just a word about agreements and affiliation agreements, because this has come up in the past. Each university does have different guidelines about how they work with external sites. And I'm sure most universities have their own form, but many sites also have their form. So sometimes 2 affiliation agreements are required from each place, the university and the site. Sometimes just the universities will do, that's all the site requires. And sometimes the on-site supervisors, the supervisor's affiliation agreement, I mean, it would have to go through the lawyer of the university, and some of that sometimes has to be negotiated. I work with a lot of New York City sites, psychiatric hospitals. These things take a long time to get in place. It's really slow when you're dealing with the state or the city, as I'm sure everybody knows. So, and sometimes, like I said, it takes negotiation to make sure this will work. But in most cases, an affiliation agreement of some sort is possible. And this is one of the things that we will provide once we've created a file of documents that you can use as a model if you need something like this. Okay, I think we can go on to the next slide.
The intern. All interns are not made for UA internships. Just gonna let that sit just a minute, okay? The UA intern will want to have excellent communication skills, okay? The student in this case is navigating a little bit more between the university and the site, all right? The university, with the University MT Program Advisor's permission, the student can initiate the application process. So again, it's not an issue to say, I found this amazing therapist in Alaska who wants to be my supervisor. Okay, intern, there's a big process for this now, okay? We hope that the intern doesn't surprise the university supervisor with that type of statement. But if there's a conversation, we have students who need to move, who maybe have partners or families or this type of thing. And they're like, I really need to go, I'm in Ohio, I need to go to the Southwest, or I'm dying to go to California. This is my moment, and I don't want to do this national roster. I know this place over here. I want to encourage students to find the training that works for them. Okay, so we do allow the intern to do some of that. But the important thing, and this falls back on the academic supervisor, is really educating the student about this process and how much needs to take place between the supervisors before the intern can really pursue this type of thing. So the student, of course, needs to adhere to the guidelines, the site program personnel requirements, the internship site policies and procedures. So again, with national roster, lots of times they sort of check in back at the university. With this, it's going to be a constant navigation of the systems together, make sure everybody's working as a team. So it's maintaining regular communication with both the academic supervisor and the on-site supervisor. This intern also has to report non-compliance to academic internship supervisor. National roster interns really are supposed to do the same. But again, sometimes I think they get in the idea that I'm off at internship. UA internship isn't going to quite feel like that. Okay. So again, openness, transparency, vulnerability to that type of open communication, with 2 close supervisors is important. Of course, they need to participate in the evaluations, same as the national roster intern. The student always has the right to complain or to withdraw and resign. Again, that's the case of all interns. That's a case of all students. But just, we want to be sure it's defined here as well. Okay, so I'm sure none of that's a surprise. But the communication piece is key. Go ahead, Susie, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just add that in many programs that have university affiliated internships as part of what they do, students do meet in a seminar, maybe twice a month or once a week, it depends, or maybe even once a month, with the group of other interns who are also at university affiliated internships. So there's a peer group, and this is a possibility for somebody who wants to create that community. And it could be, it's really quite wonderful when people are working at different places and then come together in a seminar with the academic internship supervisor and can share what's going on. It gives another window into what's happening, and also provides the opportunity for the students to share any issues that will be happening. And that's what we're talking about in terms of good communication, that's a way to foster it. It may not be possible in all of your programs to do something like this, but I highly recommend it. And in today's world, in the Zoom world, it's very possible to find some common meeting time where all interns who are around in university affiliated internships could come together and share what's happening. And it's very helpful for the academic internship supervisor to get that information.
Perfect.
Okay, so other points of note. I think we kind of said this already. It's not up to the student. The students don't find music therapists to supervise an internship. And we say it because it's happened. Carol, has it happened only one time?
We don't make rules on one time, Suzanne.
We don't make rules. Right. Has it happened 2 times, Carol?
Oh,
More.
No,
it's happened a lot. And up until now, it's really been fine to do. And so that's what we're saying. It's not fine for them to do. So guess what? We need to inform our students about these new guidelines as well, so they know, because some may be under the impression and have their eye on working in that place in Alaska and doing their internship and have it all picked out and ready to go. So we need to kind of tell them that's not how it is. So any of your students who have that eye on that wonderful place in Alaska with that new music therapist who just started working there 2 months ago, she's going to be great. She's 23. She's just out of her bachelor's degree. She'll be fantastic. So you need to kind of, as universities, be aware of that and just kind of let them know that that might not be possible.
Well, largely
make it possible if it is possible.
Largely just because of the other guidelines,
right?
You know, to share these are the guidelines, these are the standards. The site you're looking at, it does look amazing. Unfortunately, you know, the supervising therapist wouldn't meet these criteria. Right. So here's why. So part of it's just being able to explain and to educate the students then on that. So they don't pick their supervisor by any means. Like I said, they can invite, could we do an affiliation? All right, so that there's kind of a fine line there. Again, as always, the students must have acquired all competency-based prerequisites for internship. They can't go to a UA if they haven't met the prerequisites to go to internship, all right?
Also something that's come up because it's come up. So where UA internships seem to be a way for some places to cut corners. And that's why we're really trying to protect, obviously when we're protecting students, we're protecting their future clients, right? So there are ethics involved about
that falls to protecting the site supervisor as well. Because when you're newer at something, especially, you're not actually sure what someone else may be trying to manipulate in the situation. So again, these are in place to hopefully keep everyone aware of what's going on. For each on-site supervisor employed full-time, no more than 2 interns may be training at any given time. So let's flip that. What if the on-site super is only part-time? Very likely this internship is only part-time. Okay, that falls to the academic supervisor to be aware of how the hours are working, how the hours are being earned, and again, that all the learning that needs to happen for that intern, because we all know every intern is going to be different. Okay, there are some interns that you know that you're sending that you're like, definitely plan for that hour of supervision a day. And then others where you're gonna be like, you know what, that weekly meeting by month 4 is gonna be plenty for this student. So we have to allow these experiences to still be individualized to those learning needs while working within these guidelines to keep everybody safe. Again, especially our clients. Okay. Sorry about that.
So I think, is that our last slide, Carol?
That's it.
That's it. All right. So maybe there we go. We're back to our view here. So we just gave you a lot, and it's a lot to take in. And we do want to acknowledge that for those who haven't been running their university affiliated programs this way, that this is different and this requires more attention. And we know that we feel for you that will be a shift. But we're also here to support you in helping you transition to try and working this way. And we are going to be, this recording will be posted somewhere. But we're gonna now stop the recording for questions, but just so you know, you'll have this information, and we'll also post the PowerPoint. And then once we do come up with the documents associated with university affiliated internship, the kind of sample documents, that will all be in the same place as well on the AMTA website. And I'm sure Jane Creakin will send everybody links to everything, so you'll be aware. But they'll be in, we'll find you. Hopefully you'll find us and be able to find these materials. So I think we can stop the recording now.
Before we stop, I just want to say one more time.
Okay.
We're here to help.
Yes.
We're here to support. We are not looking to police anything. That is not APAC's role. That's not what Susie or my interests are in any of this. This is about supporting everyone, about helping get things organized so everyone feels confident in how we're training our interns and our future professionals. So please don't feel odd to reach out or to be vulnerable to say, I'm not doing this right. How do you recommend getting on track with this? We can help with that. We understand this isn't going to be so next week, this is how we roll, right? We understand this is going to take some time, especially over maybe turning an internship over. That next time you take an intern, we're going to work to improve this piece of it. Okay. We're not policing. We're here to help and support. So please reach out. Okay. Just wanted that to be recorded.